Welcome to the Weekend Warriors Fishing Podcast, presented by 13 Fishing Canada. Make your own luck. We're here to scratch that angling itch and talk everything fishing. Join us as we sit down with special guests from across the industry. Now, here's your hosts, Logan Lewis
and Jesse Cadron.
Welcome everyone to Volume 2 of the Pre-Fish. And if you have not listened to the Volume 1 of the Pre-Fish, what you're going to expect here in this episode is a very fast action, information, jam-packed episode. Today we're going to be talking specifically about pike fishing in the fall, since summer is officially over. We're officially into fall here. Weather temps are going to be dropping quick, and winter is right around the corner. So we're going to talk about all things pike fishing in this very important time. Maybe not important, but very fun time to target pike. They're fat, they're healthy, they're eating big meals. If you haven't tried to go and target pike in the fall, hopefully after you're done listening to this episode, you're going to want to. So stay tuned, guys. This should be a ton of fun. I'm joined, of course, by the co-host, my co-host, our co-host, main host, Logan Lewis. Logan, how are you doing, buddy?
Doing good. I am actually, this episode works out perfectly for me, as I plan to hit up Last Mountain. I'll just say it. Plan to hit up Last Mountain for some fall pike here. I've had some success in the past and looking to recreate that in the new boat, as I haven't done just a pike specific trip yet. Awesome. In the new boat. So this is perfect timing, and it's so much fun, especially when it really pops off the quality of fish you can get into. So yeah, no, looking forward to this one, but I'm doing good. This is the first episode officially of fall for us here. And I think it's going to be a good one. How are you doing?
I'm doing really good. Yeah. I guess I already mentioned that in the last episode.
Yeah, it's a little different for us. We're recording this one the same night as episode 101. So, because Jesse, when this one goes up, Jesse, you'll be in the bush hunting some meese. So we definitely, So we're logging these ones a little bit here, but yeah, it's kind of different for us. But this is something we got to do when the guy's up in the bush. Got to get these episodes done before. So I think before we really get into things here, like we said, we want to make this one quick. The first one was still, I think, like 45 minutes, but that's kind of how long it took to go through all the information, and I've had some good feedback on that episode as well. So before we hop into it, want to mention the sponsors, as we always do. 13 Fishing Canada, the presenting sponsor of the podcast. Some of the baits we'll talk about, Rapala has tons of the baits that will work well for these big fall pike. But head over to the Rapala Canada website, use the code Weekend Warriors, and save yourself 15% off at checkout. If you order your stuff the day the episode comes out, you'll still be able to use it for some of that fall time pike. And that big thanks to 13 Fishing for being the presenting sponsor of the show. Next up, Saskatchewan Wildlife Federation. Huge thanks to them for sponsoring the show. Want to mention their Master Angler program. You can, when you catch one of these big trophy fish, I think the Master Angler pike is at 42 inches.
I believe it is 42 or 41. 41, right. I think.
Either one of those, great fish. So if you do land one of those, definitely enter it in the Master Angler program. Get the certificate. Yep. Nice little way to remember that fish. And obviously Saskatchewan Wildlife does a bunch of other great things. So head over to the website, find your local branch, and get your membership today and become part of an awesome community. So that basically wraps things up sponsorship-wise. I'm excited for this one. Let's hop right into it. Where do you want to start? Where are we starting?
I think location, Logan. I'm talking deep weed beds. I'm talking deep structure, windblown points, where the food is. Because, as water temperatures start to drop, depending on how our fall does go, I mean, it might be very mild till November. We don't know that. But as the temperatures do start to drop, your weeds up shallow are going to start to die. The 6-foot, the 10-foot stuff, it ain't going to hold as many quality fish anymore. Those deeper weeds in the 15 to 18 feet, even when we're talking weeds, we're talking the long leaf cabbage. Not the stringy, hairy stuff, not the ugly brown stuff or the lily pads, nothing. No. that long leaf, beautiful green cabbage, that deep stuff. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm happy you said that, because when I was out at Last Mountain recently, some of those bays, like if you just thought, whoa, there's weeds, there's got to be pike in here, like some of those just choke out everything, right? Like a fish can't live in that. When you can see as clear as you can up at Lac Lamart, you learn that these fish aren't like really nestled right in and sitting in there like some of that hair weed is like, right? When you got those long strands, they're usually just kind of chilling beside it, and it's not like a overwhelming amount of weeds. Like they can still move around and they're pretty easy. So that's a big thing, is kind of differentiating between the types of weeds as well. So
100%. Yeah, you got to find that long leafy cabbage, and the deeper the better right now. Not every weed bed is going to hold fish, but eventually you're going to find a one patch, and it might not even make sense why they're holding on to it, but they're going to be there. And I think deep weeds is a great place to start. And then after that, maybe check some deep drop-offs. The windblown points, I mentioned that because that's where your warm water, your surface water is blowing to, and your bait is going to want to follow that warm water this time of year. So if you have a heavy east wind, or let's say a west wind, because east winds are terrible, a heavy west wind for 3 days, I'm fishing on the eastern shore, the wind-blown shore, right? And that's going to be where your bait is. And I mean, that's basic fishing. I
think one good thing to mention too, with location, you can look back at our most recent episode with Dr. Chris Summers when we talk about spawning, and depending on kind of what time of the fall you're getting into, those Cisco might be starting to stage up to go into some of those bigger bays and start to get ready for their spawn. And obviously that's where your big pike will follow, any pike, and even some of your walleye. These methods, like lots of the baits that we'll talk about, say a Rapala subwalk, for example, that I've caught walleye on while fishing for pike in these situations too. So
for sure,
sometimes the bait can never be big, like too big, it seems like, and other times you got to downsize a bit, but we'll get into that. But yeah, kind of take into account too what some of the other bait species might be doing aside from the wind as well. But yeah, the wind's always a good one for a place to start there. So yeah, location's important.
I think they're always, especially this time of year, they're going to relate to some deep water. When I say deep, like 35 feet, even up to 50 feet. I think if you can find those deep weeds with an edge close to that deep water, or a reef or a rock pile or a point with some main lake, 35, 50 feet, really close, really nearby, I think those are going to be your prime areas.
Yeah, especially suspended fish too. In those areas, like kind of, I know they say don't fish memories, but that's also where you learn stuff, right? And one of the first fly-ins I ever did up to McTavish Lake with Real North Outfitters there, we were trolling in 110 feet. The 2D was lit up from 60 feet to 80 feet, full of bait, full of marks. We were trolling through that, and I didn't catch it personally, but two of the other boats, each, I think they landed a 41 and a 43. Not that we were fishing for pike in that deep of water, obviously. Kind of I haven't seen a pike with barrow, because they're just not usually in those depths, at least when they're being caught. Those pike, as far as looking healthy and everything, there wasn't any of the air bladder bulging out, none of the redness, none of the eyes. So I don't know how that worked. But anyways, these fish were being pulled up between 60 and 80 feet when we were trolling for lake trout. So that was in the fall as well. This is northern Saskatchewan. Obviously, every lake's different, especially as you start to head north or south of kind of where you're normally talking about. But yeah, that's one thing to mention there, is they could be all over the place, because I've also other times down south here caught them in bays in 6 feet of water. I'm wearing my ice fishing suit, basically, like it's getting that cold. We've gone out during the snow too, when it's still open water. And so they could be all over the place, but these are some of the primo spots to check, I guess. For sure. And like we said in the previous volume 1 of the pre-fish, this isn't a cheat code, right? It's not a guarantee. It's still fishing. This is, like you say, our prime suspect spots and our experience and what we think is going to put the odds in your favor. Yes, so good places to start. And if it doesn't work, you can just kind of curse us and say, why? Disclaimer. Why?
I'm going walleye fishing.
Yes, yeah. Go for some fall walleye. No, that's fair. I don't know. Do you want to talk location anymore, or should we move on?
I mean, I think I mentioned just about everything. Deep weeds, main lake points, deep water, wind-blown shores, and pay attention to your sonar and watch your surface water temp.
Yeah.
If you find a side, a bay, a point that's 5 degrees warmer water, I would cast it or troll it, depending on how you want to fish. But between that and look for bait, look for, like Logan said, the spawning ciscos, the minnows, the bait fish, like they're going to be there.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that takes us into some gear topics. Do we want to talk rods and reels first, or do we want to talk about the tools you want with you?
I think let's talk about rods, reels, lures first. Yeah.
That works. Yeah. So I guess there is a couple ways you can go with this. Me and Jesse, anyone who's guided really has seen it enough that lots of people that come up, they're catching these big pike on medium heavy spin setups, right? Like you don't have to beef up if you don't want to, especially if you're throwing smaller, like maybe like a 1 ounce jig head with a plastic, or you're throwing some Len Thompson spoons. You don't necessarily have to totally beef up, but we like to mention we're probably going to stick more onto that beefing up, getting just almost some more of those musky style rods, bigger bait caster setups, because we're liking to throw the big baits this time of year. But yeah, you just kind of disclaimer with that, you can't go wrong as well with the spin setup and hitting these same spots with those setups as well.
Right.
But yeah, do you want to get into some of the heavier gear?
For sure, yeah, and I think just to quickly touch on that, it's just about knowing your limits of what your gear has. If you have the lighter spinning stuff, you got to stick with what's in your wheelhouse, and if you beef up, it allows you to go that extra step. I think this is a great style of fishing to get comfortable with a bait caster, because bait casters cast heavy lures very well and controlled. So if you're going to be putting on 1 to 4 to 6 ounce lures, I really think people should make the switch, beef up, get some nice bait caster setups with 50, even 80 to 80 pound braid, 8 foot 6, now even 7, like let's say 7.5 to 8.5 foot rods, medium heavies, with like a 2 to 6 or even let's say a 1 to 4 ounce rating, but a 2 to 6, 2 to 8 is really nice. Like that's kind of what I've gotten comfortable with.
Right.
Yeah. And
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, and you could probably touch specifically on some other options.
Yeah.
You're more of a gear guy than me.
Yeah, I was the one who brought stuff for my first year guiding, unlike you.
Yeah, that's right.
Up to the lodge. Yeah, I'm just trying something a little different here for the people that are watching the show. I'm just pulling up the Rapala Canada website, and I'm going to see if I can share this screen here, talking about some of the baits once we get to that. But for right now, yeah, talk about some of the gear. When we're talking about the heavier stuff, the Omen musky rods from 13 have been great. They're telescopic. I think they break down to a 7 foot,
nice,
I believe. So I was able to take those on some of my fly-in stuff. It's in I think like the Plano rod cases, quite nice that way. They've been great rods for myself. They go into an 8'6". Just that longer length really helps kind of catapult that bait out there, and it allows for a bit more give in the rod when you are fighting that fish. It's not just like a log when you're trying to fight. There is some play in that, so that's a big thing there. As far as reels, the 13 Fishing Concept bait casters are really good. Just something big and beefy with a high, I think that would be right, a high ratio gear ratios. So you don't want to be like some of the smaller bait casters when you're using them for bass and whatnot. You're doing a lot more rotations, right, to bring in every foot of line. But with these bigger ones and you're working these bigger baits, it works out quite a bit better to have something that you can reel these baits in faster, because some of the time too you're working these heavier baits and you want to move them pretty quick through that water column if you've got something chasing too. So that's kind of a big thing there when we talk about the bait casters. As far as if you were trolling, you could troll with your regular bait caster just fine. But if you're looking for a line counter, I think everyone who's got a line counter is familiar with the Okuma cold waters. Really like those reels for line counter reels. Work great for Lakers, for pike. I use some for walleye as well. Just change up the line that's on there. So can't go wrong with any of those. Really solid reels for dealing with some of those big toothy critters. And then, is there much more to talk about with just the rods and the reels?
Not overly. I think a happy medium is like that 6-4 to 1 ratio. 6 to 1 or 6-4 to 1 ratio is going to give you like 34, 36 inches per crank. Oh, there we go. We got a shared screen.
Is this working?
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
Okay. So I guess seeing as this is working now, may as well go into this a little bit. We can touch on some of the spin setups a little bit later too if we want after this. But these are some of the baits. I don't know. Do you see baits right here, or is it you see your face?
No, whatever. I see everything from the PXR Jowler over to the X-Wrap and whatever your mouse is on right now.
Oh, okay, cool. No, that's good.
I see five baits, a row of 5.
Okay, perfect. So the sub blocks here, they've actually got a smaller size in these as well. We'll see if this wants to load here. They got the 3.5, which I just picked up some of these. They look pretty sweet. And then the 6. Those ones, you're not getting down as deep with those lures, obviously, hence sub-walk. But, those ones are great. The Pedo, the Otis.
Those Otis are awesome.
Yeah, I definitely work the Otis a little bit slower. It's more of a rolling bait. Yep. But those ones are good. These explodes. Like, if you're looking for these, I'm just on the Rapala site, and I went lures by species and clicked on the muskie / pike here. But, these... the X-Wraps, can never go wrong with the X-Wraps either. What else we got here? Super Shadow Wrap, great lure as well. Kind of a nice poppy action back and forth. I've used that quite a bit on Last Mountain. And just any of these bigger size baits, the Twitch and Wrap, all great choices there. I don't know if there's anything else here it's going to really load. The tail dancer there more for trolling, kind of more of a walleye application in my mind. But husky jerks and stuff too. Lots of great options out there as far as the Rapala stuff goes. Maybe
that's plenty to catch a pike with.
I'll just see if we've got the rods I was talking about. Here's the reel I'm talking, but the Omen Muskie right here. So
there you go.
8'6", 7 feet stowed. If you go up to the 9, it's 7'6". If you go up to 9'6", it's 7'9" stowed. Great rod. I love the handle on this rod, and also I don't know what you call this. I think it's common in the musky world, but that trigger, it's common in any casting rod. Yeah. But actually, no, this one isn't quite a full pistol grip in some of those, but really helps with hanging onto the rod there. And these are kind of your choices here with your heavy. So I have the 8'6", 7 foot stowed heavies. I got 2 of those that run in, and also great for trolling. So that kind of covers all that.
I got to use one of those rods for the first time this summer. I think it was Adam Gamble who lent it to me, and I really liked it. And that telescopic option to shrink down and have your rod tube smaller is pretty nice. That's a really good option.
Very nice, especially if you're flying in somewhere. And I guess, should I maybe go grab some of my mess of baits here to talk about some of the other ones that you could toss for them?
Sure. Yeah. If you got them handy.
They're just over here. They're going to be in a mess, but I'll hold it up to show some of them. But I don't know if you kind of want to touch on, do you have any spin setup recommendations if you were, like any size of reel or whatever that?
Yeah.
You maybe touch on that, and I'll be back in a sec.
For sure. Yeah, so if you're using your standard spin setup, I would really hope you have something heavier than 30-pound braid on it. 30 pounds kind of the limit for pike fishing. You don't want anything smaller. When they wrap and roll, you're just going to cut the sides of those pike up really bad. So please, 30-pound or heavier. You're probably going to need at least a 3,000 size spinning reel. Even a 4,000 is good. You put that on a 7-foot heavy action heavy power fast action. That's the words I'm looking for. And you're going to have more than enough backbone and enough torque to work these fish. Lures on it, Logan had mentioned earlier, a 1-ounce jig head on a Z-Man or a soft plastic paddle tail. That 6-inch range, you'd be more than comfortable. You can even get into the husky jerks, or some deep diving husky jerks, something you can rip down deep and then pause and twitch and pause and twitch, and just trying to cover that low water column. The only thing you're going to lose there is you're not going to be able to cast a big heavy bait to get down 15, 20 feet. You're going to be restricted to that top 15 feet of the water column with a spinning setup, just because you can't go super heavy. If you are casting on a rocky point or hump or sandbar, then a 1-ounce jig head on a Z-Man is going to be your ticket to get down to those fish.
Yeah, I'm sure that was all good. I just returned for the ending of that, but lots of this is similar to some of the lake trout talk that we had. So if you were watching or listening to the Pre-Fish Volume 1, we did cover some of these baits, but they're kind of similar applications here. I guess not even applications, but similar baits used a bit differently. So first up here, your Bondi. Can't go wrong with that, especially if you are trying to get a bit deeper. I had mentioned this is the what is this one? Yeah, X-Wrap Subwalk. This is the full size, so you can kind of see how big it is in comparison to my hands. The other one is smaller. I had it over there, but couldn't find it. It's about that big. So that's a good one, especially if they're in shallower in a bay. You can work that bait, and as Jesse would know too, the Subwalk, it's such a solid bait. It holds up to tons and tons of fish. So can't go wrong with that. And yeah, if you're basically like, I would say 10 feet or less, that bait's gonna work for you, especially in that like 6 or 8 feet or less range.
Yeah.
One maybe for on more the trolling side. Got this, one of the Savage Gear Burbits here.
Yep.
That one is great there. Like, don't be afraid to troll some of these areas. Works out quite well. This bait here, this bream, Savage Gear as well, very beat up from all of the fish it's caught, but I did catch a really cool 42-inch pike on Last Mountain trolling this in about 18 feet of water. Nice. It kind of had its typical pike colors, but then it's just like a straight line, and the belly was just straight white. Like it was like a perfect line for that.
Cool.
That was a nice fish. Big sucker here. I think you talked about these in just our last episode, about dropping these down in on some trout. And this is why you want these big baits, or these big rods, some of these heavier baits. This bait here actually is still a good size. Yep. This is the Super Shadow Wrap 16, but it's very light, so you could get away with this on one of your spin setups as well, most likely, but you can launch it with a heavier setup. So that's a great bait. And then obviously there's a lot more to choose from, but we've got the Otis here as well. This one is beat up and got tooth marks. The nice thing is you can replace the tail, I'm pretty sure, if it does get beat up. I think these are replaceable, so that's a nice thing there. But this bait just gives a nice like rolling action like that, and works out well for pike applications. So I don't know if do you have any more to talk about as far as baits go?
I think the only other two things you're missing there is which we mentioned at the top, a Len Thompson number 4 heavy spoon and spinner baits, the L bracket baits or the inline spinner baits.
Kind of the musky style.
Yeah, musky style, 1 to 3 ounce spinner baits. The reason I bring those up is because I think there's sort of 2 stages of fall pike fishing. And the first stage is like pre really cold water temps. So like before the water temps hit 50, even 55, say 50, 55. Before that, I fish flashy and fast. So spoons, blades, even some paddle tails, but something you can just burn, right? Like that's where that high gear ratio comes in that we were talking about. You're making long casts and you're just ripping it back to the boat, like almost faster than you would ever think to reel. And those pike are still going to hit it. But then once that switch happens and the water does go cold, that's when you're going to want to progress to those more realistic baits, like the Otis, like that Subwalk, and what was the Shad X-Rat?
Super Shadow.
Super Shadow. And work it more slowly.
Yeah, Super Shadow.
Okay, yeah. So once that switch happens, go slower and way more realistic. Give those pike time to catch up to it, look at it, and hit it. And that's where you might find trolling working a little better than your casting.
Right. And with all of this, I would say like all those baits I just held up are all barbless as well. You've got the big trebles. You're obviously not keeping these big pike. It does not hurt at all to go barbless with this. You might think yourself later if pike goes wild with some of these hooks that are out there. So most of these have double. Yeah, I think they're all double. If there is triple, I usually take off one, so it's just double. But or even sometimes singles, good enough. But yeah, going barbless doesn't hurt.
Yeah, highly recommend.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like, I don't know if I can't even really think of how often fish were really getting off. Like these baits are big, right? Lots of times maybe a pike just grabs it like this, right? Well, if you had barbs or not, it's not going to matter, right? The pike's got it on top there. You still got to get the hooks in there, but when they do want these baits, they sure take them. So it's nice to be barbless. Yeah, no, gonna hammer it. So I guess that kind of maybe goes into some of the tools you should have with you.
Absolutely, yeah. Like long needle nose pliers, 9 inches at least, like 9.
Yeah,
and you don't have to buy the real fancy, Cuda ones that are like $60. Just go to, I was gonna say PV Mart. You can't go to PV Mart anymore.
No,
go to Canadian Tire, Napa, and buy long-handled needle nose pliers for $18. Yeah, and then a good strong set of jaw spreaders is a must.
Right, and depending what ones you're looking at, some of the jaw spreaders I don't like that have kind of the pointy ends. I've seen some people, I think up north, tape them, kind of make them more of a blunt end, right? Depending on that, the jaw spreaders help. It might suck trying to use them at first, but it definitely helps to get in there, open up that mouth, get the hook out quick. Yep. I know lots of musky people take some form of hook cutters out there. I think if they take it deep, and it's better than ripping it out, you can cut that as close as you can to kind of where it's sticking out and get the rest of that bait out of there rather than ripping areas that you shouldn't be. So that's kind of a big thing there. If you are... you want a good net as well, good size net. Big, deep helps. You can let that fish rest over the side of the boat.
At least 36 inches deep.
Yeah, and that just comes with when you want to have everything ready anyways, but that fish is just fought. I think it was, I don't know if it was an Uncut Angling or a Clayton Schick video where they basically said, like, imagine just running a 400-meter sprint or a 100-meter sprint, and then you have to put your head underwater. Like, these fish just fought, and then if you're holding them out of the water, like, how are they supposed to kind of replenish, get their breath, everything like that? So a big 100%. Net over the edge of the boat lets them sit, lets them chill, kind of recover a bit, whether you've already unhooked it or not. Kind of gives it some time to do that. So that's a big thing. And if you are, for whatever reason, wanting to also weigh them, I can't recommend a cradle enough. That's a great way to weigh them. And then, you're going to want a bump board, a good size bump board to know what you got there. Yep. You can have more play on that one. I know there's the big Cabela's ones. There's they're all gone right now, but the Weekend Warriors musky bumper boards, I think, go up to 50 maybe. I can't remember what it goes up to. 50s, yeah.
Yeah, there were 50s,
so, so can't really go wrong there with that. The musky bumper style boards at least are nice because you've got that. You can get their back up against that. Yeah, makes it really easy to measure the fish. But yeah, that's kind of kind of the main things for gear. Like I said, try and debarb beforehand. Obviously, that just helps with the fish. You're doing catch and release most likely, anyways. So that's kind of one of the most important things. And I don't know. Do you have anything else for gear?
No, man. That's it on my list there, I think.
Actually, I'm surprised you didn't say this. Did we talk leaders?
Oh, we didn't. We
didn't talk leaders. So,
man,
we talked line. Obviously, you want some heavier braid to be dealing with these fish, but your leaders, big thing, are going to be your snap swivels with these leaders and your barrel swivels as well. Are kind of my two main things there. You can buy them online. The leaders can be pretty expensive online, or you can just buy. Like, what would you suggest buying if you're making your own leaders?
Well, with big baits like we're using now, I feel more comfortable using fluorocarbon as opposed to titanium or steel, because they're just going to hit the lure. They're going to T-bone the lure. They really shouldn't miss. So I'm comfortable with 100-pound to 150-pound fluorocarbon. I run 130 on my pike rigs. You probably could get away with 80 with these big baits, because like I say, they really shouldn't. It should be very rare that they ever miss the lure and hit your leader. And then it's big. They're not going to swallow it. It's not like a fly or a Z-Man where it's going to go to the back of their throat. If you're using a 8-10 inch lure, they shouldn't swallow it. So I'm more comfortable with fluorocarbon, 130 pound. You get a good quality barrel swivel, and then your snap. I like the Stay Lock snaps with the little ring built in. I think Mustad makes them. There's a couple companies that make them now. And just a basic fisherman's knot on there. Go through and a couple wraps, four wraps, and then back through the bottom of the wraps and wet your knot. Spit on that tang.
Yeah.
And then cinch her tight. You could use crimps if you really wanted to get serious. Crimps and some shrink wrap. But I prefer fluorocarbon for these big lures.
Yeah, and don't be like me. I was in Hawaii with my girlfriend and went into a saltwater shop. It's like, their leader material is so cheap here. It turns out it was mono. I've used it a little bit. I used it for some of my lake trout leaders. I don't know if it really mattered or not. Obviously, you just get some of the stretch there. But so kind of pay attention to that when you are getting it. They do have, who is it here? Suffix has some good leader material, fluorocarbon leader material as well. I've got some of that in the boat ready to go. I think I have, is it the advanced fluorocarbon? I'm just looking on the website here. Yeah, I got that in I think 80 pound, something like that. So kind of got those options too. And VMC does have snap swivels as well. I was just looking. I personally haven't used them yet, but VMC makes some really great stuff. And the test that you can get, like the test on this one is 320 pounds. So,
oh wow,
they're size 1 there. So should be good to go with those things. But yeah, that's a big thing. Like Jesse said, you can tie it up, you can crimp it, but make sure you have the good gear. Because you can get lucky with some of those, I don't know, foot long wire leaders that kind of everyone gets, but especially if you're throwing this bigger stuff and you're using the heavier gear, all that, you want to have the terminal tackle that will withstand all that as well, because we don't want to be breaking at those connections there. But yeah, that's a big one. I remember when I first showed up north, my leader game was poor, very very poor. So
hey, me too, man.
Yeah, but when you build your own, you can make them as long as you want. I sometimes like a longer leader, easier for hanging on to, whatnot, getting a grip on that. I know as guides we'd hate some that were homemade and they had the tag end sticking out. Those easy way to cut your hands, so watch that. But it's with the crimped ones specifically, because they're kind of just pointing right towards your hand if the fish does decide to take off and you're still hanging on to the leader. But yeah, that kind of covers that. I think the gear topic pretty good.
Yeah.
And don't let it intimidate you if you don't have all this stuff. Like we said, you can still go out with your regular setup and you're going to have some success if you know where to go. Sure. But like we talked in the sturgeon episode, you always want you always want to be ready for what you might get into.
Yeah.
So
yeah, why put any extra stress on these fish? And we don't have to be finessey. You don't have to be. So go heavy and go strong.
Yeah, and I think just before we wrap things, yes, go have fun. I think right before we wrap things up here, because we are getting to the end of this quick episode, just want to say, obviously make sure you're handling these fish properly. If the fish wants to flop, let it flop into the water. Don't need to be dropping in the boats. Kind of the same as always, but want to mention that when you are dealing with some of these bigger fish, it's not worth dropping them in the boat. Obviously, there's sometimes when you're putting it on the bump board, it's flopping around a little bit once it's already down. That's a lot different than when you're standing up, bringing it into the boat, or holding it for a picture, right? And it dropping. Sure. So wanted to mention that, but I think that pretty well wraps things up for volume 2 of the pre-fish here for some fall pike, eh?
I agree.
Awesome. Well, just to close things out here, we mentioned quite a bit in this episode, a little bit of our first screen share for it too, but check out Rapala Canada, check out their baits, check out some of the rods and reels for these pike, maybe some of the leader material that I mentioned. But yeah, you can head over there, fill up the cart, use the code Weekend Warriors, that's WKND Warriors, save yourself 15% off at checkout, the tax and some. And I'm going to be using some of these tactics myself, so hopefully have some good news to report back, whether you see it on socials or whatnot with some big pike. But until then, hope you enjoyed volume 2. Jesse, anything to close things out here?
Good luck fishing, man. I'm gonna be jealous. I'm gonna be thinking of all the weekend warriors out there for the next 45 days while I'm at Moose Camp. I'm gonna be missing it here. So good luck to everyone out there. Hopefully you learned something, and go catch fish and have fun.
We'll see you in the next one.
Thanks for tuning in to the Weekend Warriors Fishing Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to leave a review on your favorite listening platform so we can reach more anglers just like you. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for media updates and behind-the-scenes content.